That is one powerful song. It was written by Harry Chapin, and according to his wife, Sandy, the song was inspired by a poem that she had written. She said her poem was inspired by the estranged relationship of her ex-husband and his father, as well as the country song that she'd heard about how quickly the kids grow up and how the parents wish they'd spent more time with them. Apparently, Harry wasn't that interested in the poem until after his son was born, and then he decided to put the words to music. The song was released in 1974. I remember playing it when I was just teaching myself to play guitar back in high school in the mid-1980s. I was drawn to the haunting lyrics and the moral of the story. Pay attention to your kids. Play with your kids. Have a relationship with your kids. When I became a parent myself, I literally would hear the song in my head when my daughter or son wanted to play and I was tired or otherwise occupied. And I think the lesson sunk in. As much as possible, when the kids want to be with you, when they want to play, you say yes. You just say yes. Now, most people see the song as a terribly sad story of a neglectful father who tries to develop a relationship with his son later in life and finds the tables have turned. The son now has no time for the father. And there is that. But I think there are some glimmers of hope. One, at least the son and the father are talking. In the last verse, when the father's retired and the son's moved away, the father calls up the son. My parents live about 6 hours away, and I only get to see them 3 or 4 times a year. But we do talk about once a week, and that's important. We keep up with each other on Facebook and email each other occasionally. Continuing the communication is an important way to keep the bonds of family alive, despite the physical distance. 2. In the song, the father wants to see the son, but the son is too busy. And the father declares his son had, quote, grown up just like me. The boy was just like me, unquote. I'm not so sure about that. One might surmise that the father is saying that his father didn't spend much time with him. And perhaps that might partially explain why the father didn't spend enough time with his son. The father did not have a good role model. But it doesn't necessarily follow that the son was just like the father. I like to think the son broke the cycle. All we hear about the son is that his new job is a hassle and the kids have the flu. And perhaps the son is not neglecting his family. At least he is aware of the kids' current health issues. Maybe the son did get to see his son learn to walk and teach his kids how to throw a ball. Perhaps he was able to learn from his father what not to do, or from someone else what to do. Maybe he knew where he was coming from, where he was, and where he was going. On December 30th, 1941, in Youngwood, Pennsylvania, a baby boy was born. The boy's father served in the Merchant Marines during World War II and then worked on the railroad after the war. The boy's father didn't take much of an interest in his son, and he wasn't around very much. He also had a tendency to drink excessively, sometimes leaving little for the boy and his mother to live on. The boy's parents separated when he was in 10th grade. He and his mother moved around so much that the boy went to 3 high schools in 3 different states, all during his senior year. His parents tried to reconcile when he was a senior, but the boy left home several months after graduation to join the U.S. Marines in 1960. That boy was my dad. In fact, he called us yesterday morning, early, as he does every year on November 10th, which is the Marine Corps birthday. The Marine Corps theme was playing loudly in the background as he shouted to us jokingly to do push-ups and go out for a 25-mile run and other possible physical activities. Unlike the father in the Cats in the Cradle, my dad gave me a ball and said, "Let's go play." He helped coach sports teams I played on, football, baseball, and even basketball, despite the fact that he didn't know much about coaching basketball, but we needed a coach to have a team. And when he wasn't coaching me at games or my younger sister's games, he was attending our games along with my mom. They were involved in our lives. The same person who played with me after work, coached me, helped me learn about music, took care of me, loved me, didn't have much of a fatherly role model, just like the father in the Cats in the Cradle. What my dad had, though, was family. His mother and her extended Italian family of brothers and sisters and cousins. He had people he could lean on. His mother was always there for him. And when things weren't going well, his mother would declare it was time for a party and bring out the ice cream and Pepsi. The extended family helped take care of him during the war when his father was away. They provided a place for him to go during the summer. When his parents were separated, they lived with his mother's brother. Most everything he learned about being a parent, he learned from his mother and her family. Now, as I said, his father drank excessively. He swore a lot, and wasn't home much, and didn't pay much attention to him. And now I recall my dad, I never recall him drinking to excess. He hardly ever swore. He was home a lot, and he paid a lot of attention to me and my sister. And growing up, we only lived in one house. When I asked my dad whether he was consciously trying not to do what his dad did and trying not to replicate his experience, he said no. And that sounded really strange at first, but he said he was just doing what he wanted to do. And then I thought about myself, and I can't say that as a father, I consciously tried to do what my father did. I just did it. Played with my kids, coached them in sports, spent time with them. I sang with them. The Prelude song, Golden Slumbers, is one I like to sing to them at bedtime. Did we do these things unconsciously? Well, it's possible, because that's just the way that's just the people we became through our families. But even with a good parent or parents, children can sometimes be less than optimal family members. In the song, the boy comes home from college and is not interested in talking to his dad and just wants the car keys. That could happen in any family, right? Children don't always appreciate what parents do for them. I remember a time in high school when my parents had come to a baseball game and I failed to acknowledge that they'd come. I mean, they'd like to come and watch me play. It's not like they were looking for gold stars or anything, but the fact that I hadn't acknowledged them really upset my mom, and she told me so. It was hard to hear, but she was exactly right. They deserved my respect, and they had the right to demand it. From then on, I never took for granted the fact that they came to my games and supported me, and I always thanked them for coming. There's another possible angle of the song, too, that we should consider. What about the parents who work 2 low-wage jobs to get by? Or the single parent struggling to make ends meet? Think about immigrants working here, who are sending their money home to their families in other countries. Some people have jobs that take them away from their families for extended periods. Making time for real relationships with children is an even greater challenge, even if parents want to have the relationships. People in the military sacrifice their time with their families to earn a living, but of course to protect our country. Those who serve and served deserve our gratitude and respect. Of course, particularly today on Veterans Day. And so we had the song about peace at the beginning, and we'll do an offertory song called Someday of All. My wife's family knows this all too well. When Suzanne's father was killed in Vietnam in 1969, her mother was left with 7 children, and 1 on the way. Suzanne was the one on the way. We assume that having relationships with our children is expected, but for some, it may not be possible. So as we approach Thanksgiving this month, with many of us planning to spend time with our families, extended families, and members of our church family, maybe we can take some time to think about the patterns in our relationships, the good ones we want to foster, and the cycles we may want to break. How might you become a better family member so that you'll have a good time then? Alex has a few ideas for you.